Hi, I'm Jeff Morgan with Northwest Fly Fishing Outfitters, and today we're going to be tying a blue wolf. So let's get started. So the blue wolf is basically a variation of the classic royal wolf. The wolf pattern, the wolf family, is kind of predicated on having a pair of calftail or bucktail wings that are used as sighters. And pretty much from that point on, you can play with the fly however you like. And so you can use any color for the wing. I prefer white calftail, and I actually selected this white calftail here because there's two different components of the hair here. At the tip, you can see this long, fine, kind of waxy, opaque looking hair, which is great for streamer wings. Not good for a wolf. This shorter, coarser hair at the bottom, excellent for a wolf. So that's where we're going to pull the fibers for this particular pattern. So we're going to cut it and we're going to stack it because the tips of these calftail fibers are not particularly even. So giving it a little stack there is going to help get things in order so we have nice even tips on our finished fly. Again, we start with the wings on this type of pattern because otherwise it's very easy to run out of room because there's a lot of action going on, a lot of production going on in the back half of the fly. And the last thing you want to do is run out of room at the front, not have enough room for your hackle, or crowd your eyes so you can't even fish the fly once it's tied. So I'm going to measure the wing about the same length as the body. Go ahead and tie it in here. I want to be about 80% of the way up the hook shank when I tie these in because I'm going to have to prop them up at the end of this. So I'm going to tie them in pretty aggressively forward like that. And then we give some wraps in front just to help stick that wing straight up like that. Go ahead and cut these butt ends off. Ideally, you want to cut them off at an angle so that you don't have a chunk in your thorax. Tie this down. When you're first tying with calftail like this or bucktail, whatever you choose to use for the wing, sometimes it helps put a little dab of super glue in there. Help secure that wing if you're unsure about the strength of your wraps. But if you're using 6X or 6/0 thread and you're wrapping pretty strong, you should be just fine. So now the key to a wolf is dividing these wings. You just kind of do that by hand. Make them even on each side. And we're just going to simply do a figure 8 wrap through them. I'm going to make 2 wraps one direction, 2 wraps the other direction. 1 wrap, 2 wrap, 1 wrap, 2 wrap. Give it a couple more wraps to stick them up, and now we have 2 mostly upright wings. If they point out to the side, it's not the end of the world. In fact, it makes the fly a little bit easier to see on the water. Notice I'm not too worried about how all these fibers and scraps here at the end are tied down or clipped because we're going to wrap over those. Now the second thing we're going to do in here, so we can try to maintain an even body, is we're going to add a tail. And the tail material that we use for almost all wolves is moose body hair because it's extremely stiff. You don't need a lot of fibers to achieve the flotation, and it's nice and dark, so it's a neutral color that won't clash with your fly. You know, you might tie a light wolf, you might tie a dark wolf, but this moose mane or moose body hair works really well for tailing material. You get about 10 to 12 fibers. Stack those up as well because, like calftail, moose hair does not grow evenly. Pull those out of the stacker. I tend to fish a little bit longer tail than what you see on commercial patterns. I like a little extra floatability. Comes with that longer tail. And I'm going to tie it right up to where the butts of my calftail are, so I kind of have an even body once I cover all this with thread. And that's going to make constructing the body of the pattern a little easier for you. Now, if I'm tying a whole bunch of wolf patterns, I often stop at this stage and I make 3, 4, 5 dozen starts like this, and then I can fill in the pattern with whatever I want. If you want to create a royal wolf, you just go peacock, red, peacock, brown hackle. If you want a blonde wolf, you can go with a yellowish floss and a ginger hackle. If you want a olive wolf for green drake hatches, you can do an olive body and then an olive dyed grizzly hackle. So the choices are really up to you. It's one of the great virtues of this tying style is it's really flexible in terms of what materials you have and what you want to play with. And so I'm going to just use some standard floss for the body here. I like blue. My wife does really well with the Blue Wulff. Blue's her favorite color, and she can see the blue and the black and the white together on the water pretty well. So we're just going to tie in that strip of blue floss. And you can see where I'm stopping my thread. It's about 60% the way up the body. Just kind of standard abdomen length for a dry fly. And we're just trying to wrap this blue floss as evenly as possible. You can see it has a little forward taper. That's what we want. Tie this off. And last step is tying in our hackle. Traditionally these were tied with a pair of neck hackles. Most of us these days use standard or use saddle hackles because one feather can get you a long way. So I'm going to strip off some of the webbier fibers and tie that in. Advance my fly up or my thread up to the eye of the hook. We're just going to go ahead and wrap this hackle so that it points forward. Pull that wing back and give it several wraps right in front of that wing. One more. And we'll sweep everything back. Tie down feather, put that off. Whip finish. And there we go. We got a standard classic dry fly for summertime small string fishing. This fly is going to bounce through any riffles you got. It's going to glide over any runs you got. And it's big and fat enough to bring fish up through plunge pools in the Columbia Gorge. When I fish this fly, I fish it size 10, size 12, maybe a size 14. But when you're fishing attractors, you want fish that are eager to come to the surface. You want something that's going to move them. If fish want something small, give them something small and natural. If they want something big, give them something big and fake. And that's the Blue Wulff, and good luck out there.